brilliant. The most fascinating family film since E.T., according to the various critics of movies. It was directed by Wolfgang Peterson, yes, the man that did Das Boot and Air Force One, but in between those, he did the NeverEnding Story. But the novelist was pissed about the NeverEnding Story rendition that he said was not any good. I don't want my name on the opening credits. In fact, I'll just sue your asses and lose in court for what you did to the NeverEnding Story. Now let's get to the review. I'm John Renton with the retro review of The NeverEnding Story. If you couldn't figure that out, I really don't know what to do to help you. But yes, written and directed by Wolfgang Peterson, who did Das Boot, Air Force One, Outbreak, Enemy Mine, Poseidon. That is the last known big budget movie that he did. Kind of makes sense, considering the remake of Poseidon was really goddamn shit. And even the Poseidon Adventure wasn't all that great, but it seemed like a landmark achievement compared to the 2006 version. He also did Perfect Storm, and that movie Outbreak. Boy, that's kind of, come right back around and is really, really relevant right now, isn't it? If you haven't seen Outbreak, watch it. You might be scared by how eerily similar 1995 is to now. But yes, this is a big fantasy epic from writer Michael Ende. I hope I pronounced that right. He was not happy and literally tried to sue them out of existence. Like, I don't like what you did with my source material. Okay, but we paid for it. It's filmmaking. We can't have the entire goddamn book out on film or it'll go on forever. We have to make certain cuts. I have not read the book in forever. I do recall a large chunk of things were cut, but that happens with most books. And you have to take certain liberties and just trim some things down and whatever. But he tried to sue the studio and fucking lost. This is one of the, quite frankly, better fantasy epic movies that came out. Sword and sorcery, all that stuff. Just wild fantasy and crazy. It had Falcor, the giant dog dragon-like thing that apparently was really, really costly. This movie cost $27 million. Was the most expensive movie, I believe, filmed in Germany that they said. And $27 million, by the way, in 1984 money, almost $78 million. Yes, they spent a fucking fortune on this, and unfortunately, it didn't do all that well at the box office. It might have done better worldwide, but compared to what they spent, they didn't exactly get the biggest amount of returns. However, in the nearly 40 years since this movie has been out, it has gained a massive, massive cult following. And that song is like a fucking brainworm. It will never, ever leave. It's not too shy, hush, hush, Idlewild. But anyway, never mind that. Yes, the singer of Kajagoogoo actually was the singer of whatever the band name. I can never fucking pronounce it. It starts with an L, I know that. Lima Stone Nami, I think that's what it said. I kid. This movie is a lot of fun. I also remember it being a bit longer than 92 minutes. Maybe that's just because, I watched it a number of years ago, but I forgot how great the set pieces are, the costumes, the giant creatures. It felt like a living, breathing world. I also forgot how much the character of Bastian irritated the fuck out of me. He didn't deserve to be bullied, but my god, he was just a little dweebish kid. But then again, he did lose his mother, so any kid would be a little bit stuck in a book, but it's not a reading rainbow. Barrett Oliver played Bastian, who lost his mother. He has a relationship with his dad, and ends up in a bookshop after being put in a dumpster by some bullies and then chased into a bookshop, but the bullies don't see him, and then this one bookshop keeper says, "Ha, the arcade's down the street, get out of my store." He says, "You don't know about these rectangular things, they're books. I know books." He mentions Last of the Mohicans, Tarzan, and all these goddamn books. Just all these books. He has 186 of them home. He's a bookworm. He loves these things. And this guy's reading one and then puts it down to take a call because he says, "This book is not for you. It's not for you. It's not for little boys. You may be able to get out of a book or whatever. This book, it's different." And it turns out it is different. It's called The NeverEnding Story. If you did not gather that, I don't really know what else I can do to convince you that this is about the never-ending story. So, he ends up diving into this big fantasy world to avoid a math test. That's the only reason Bastian does stuff like this, is he wants to avoid a math test. He wants to avoid responsibility, so he dives into a book. Great kid there. Then again, to be fair, I think we all wanted to avoid a test when we were younger, even those of us that were good at math. But nevertheless, he ends up in the 19th century attic that a school has. Sure, every fucking school has one of those. Why wouldn't they? And he just dives into the book. And basically, we dive right into, one of the characters you may recognize. Little guy that rides a racing snail. Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. He's the main Oompa Loompa. His name's Deep Roy. I swear to you, I reacted to that name with the good taste and maturity you would come to expect from me. If you expect that, you're really at the wrong goddamn thing. There's a guy with a bat. There's also a big, giant rock biter. Massive, like animatronic puppet, whatever. That was insane. These look like big, strong hands. Ooh, limestone with a, hint of quartz. Also, there's an empress that is dying, but only she can save the world from the nothing, the world of Fantasia. And then also, since she's ill, Atreyu steps up and says, "I'll take the case." And then Black Gandalf, as I like to call him, just says, "Oh, nobody can save. Well, Atreyu, we want a warrior, not a boy. I'll take this adventure." And he has to leave his weapons behind, but he gets a necklace called the Arwen, and it will protect him. And also sheer blind luck and avoiding special effects will protect him. It sounds like I'm dumping on this movie. It's, again, one of the better fantasy epic movies that you will see, but it is kind of silly. Bastian just doesn't understand why he's so absorbed into this book. But then it becomes obvious this book is much more alive, and they are aware of him as much as he is aware of them. So the nothing continues to grow, continues to destroy the world. Why is the nothing there? Because it's just taking away people's hopes. That's it. That's really the only reason it's there. The less hope you have, the easier you are to control. And then there's a wolf named Gmork, not Gwork. That sounds like a Star Trek character. And then the part in the swamp of sadness with the horse. Fuck you, Wolfgang Peterson, for putting this in the movie. I can watch people die 1,000 fucking deaths. I can watch slashers. I can watch people get gutted, killed, whatever. I don't fucking care. You kill an animal, and yes, they did it off camera, but it's the implication. The horse is like, I just don't want to do this anymore. And it dies. God damn it. God damn it. Why do you have to kill the horse? I know it's in the book, but still. The horse. Poor horse. And then Atreyu's upset. He goes to visit the Morla, the ancient one, a giant tortoise, turtle, whatever, that looks like a giant crowning shit whenever the head comes out. You're welcome for that. And wants to find out the answer. Wants to find out the answer about how to save Fantasia from the nothing. And Bastian keeps reading this stuff. Like, he's just so absorbed in this. Yeah. And Bastian just continues to be all like, no, do this. You're the one reading the book. Be more positive, bitch. That'll figure it out. So anyway, Atreyu continues on his adventure, and Falkor comes along and saves him. The giant dog animatronic thing that apparently had a lot of moving parts and whatever. And Falkor is like the most memorable character out of this thing. The girl that plays a childlike empress actually left acting, did dance troupe stuff. I actually don't remember the exact, phrasing for it, and just recently returned to acting. And it's kind of funny how some child actors do that. The actor that played Atreyu, the boy, apparently did suffer some injuries during this, and that must have been pretty brutal. There were some pretty, big stunts in this, and also some really, really good set pieces. It felt like a living, breathing world. The rock biter, he was there. The Falkor was resting on this mountain top that had these two dwarf-like characters, and one knew about the Southern Oracle, and it's a way to get through these gates. You have to get through these gates to get to figure out all this shit that's going on. You have to basically do that to figure out a way to get to the end of the boundaries of Fantasia. You have to do a whole bunch of stuff in this. basically, the movie's just a crazy fantasy. It just gets all wrapped around. He has to avoid the laser eyes of sphinxes, because of course. And then he has to face himself in the mirror, in the magic mirror gate. And then he sees Bastian, and Bastian's like, he can't see me. I don't want to read this book anymore. There's a storm going outside because the weather started getting rough. Bastian's getting more and more invested in this. Atreyu finds out from these other crumbling statues that are kind of like the sphinxes. They're the blue versions from The Fifth Element, and it just reminded me of like the opera singer from The Fifth Element. And they say the Empress needs a new name, but only a human child can give it. None of us. So we basically have to rely on completely illogical shit to get the Empress a new name. But it's a choose-your-own-adventure thing. And then suddenly the nothing is all around them. Him and Falkor get separated. And then Gamork is there, this wolf that is helping the despair and the nothing take over so he can eat and kill people. I mean, alright, I've heard worse motivations. And then Gamork goes down really easily because he just gets stabbed quickly. Very quickly. Giant puppet that he was. I mean, so no wonder he's so easy to stab. And then what ends up happening is Atreyu is just all upset. The world gets eaten, but him and Falkor can breathe in space. I am putting too much thought into this goddamn movie. The Ivory Tower's there. He visits the childlike Empress, and Bastian has to give her a name. Bastian, do what you dream, because he's always dreaming. And he dreams about his mom. He dreams, it does what any child does, dreams, and dreams of big, has big dreams of big dreams. And during this whole storm, the tree from the poltergeist tries to attack him, but that doesn't work. It only gets a branch up on that 3-story school and says, I'm done. I'm freaking done with this. And then he says, I'll give you a name, and he yells out, Moonchild. Sounds like a Jimi Hendrix song. And then she's suddenly there and tells him there's only a little bit of Fantasia left, this single grain of sand. But if you make a bunch of wishes, you can build Fantasia in your own image. And then he does. And then he writes Falkor in the real world and chases the bullies and scares everybody in the city. And the cops are being called and besieged by people saying, there's a giant dog dragon flying around with a boy on it. Okay, put down the bottle, Mrs. Johnson. It sounds like I'm knocking this movie, and I'm actually not. The NeverEnding Story, which they did say the most the most fascinating family film since E.T. Except the NeverEnding Story is actually good. Oh, that's a hook there for the end, because I didn't really care for E.T. all that much. Anyway, a fun movie. Quite good. Bastian's an annoying character. And you just feel really, really sad. The goddamn horse. Why the horse? That being said, really, really good. Let me know your thoughts on NeverEnding Story in the comments, please. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.